You're watching Cultured Elegance. Make sure to like and subscribe. Whatever one may think of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, their choices, their exile, royal rift they left in their wake, there's little denying they possessed an unmistakable flair for gracious living. In 1953, nearly 2 decades after the Duke's historic abdication, the couple found their true sanctuary in Paris, a gracious estate nestled at 4 Rue du Champ d'Entraînement, on the edge of the Bois de Boulogne. The property, known today as Villa Windsor, was leased to them by the city of Paris for what has often been described as a peppercorn rent, a symbolic sum that, according to some sources, was as little as $10 a year. For the former King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson, this elegant home offered far more than its price tag would suggest. It was a retreat from scandal, a haven of privacy, and the canvas upon which they painted a life of cultivated beauty and personal freedom. Within its ivy-covered walls, the Duke and Duchess spent the remainder of their lives crafting a world that blended old-world aristocracy with modern continental charm. Every room, every object, every thread of fabric seemed chosen with intention. Here in the heart of France, they surrounded themselves with the art, design, and atmosphere they loved most, far from the institutions they once served, yet never entirely apart from the legacy they carried. The grand doors open with quiet ceremony, and the theater of the villa begins. Liveried footmen, standing at precise attention, usher guests into a world of refinement and reverence, a glowing entrance hall that sets the tone for the entire residence. Here, beneath high ceilings and gilded fixtures, the air seems charged with expectancy. A sweeping staircase rises with effortless grace to the upper floor, where the Duke and Duchess would receive favored guests in their private sitting room following formal dinners. Every movement through this space was choreographed to impress, yet always with a touch of discretion, never ostentation, reflecting the Windsor's cosmopolitan flair. Cool marble floors and columns anchored the space in timeless elegance, while Chinese lacquerware, delicate porcelain, and French antiques drew the eye from one thoughtful vignette to another. Nothing was cluttered, everything was intentional. The room told a story before anyone had spoken a word. On a central table, perfectly arranged for symbolic impact, sat a striking red leather dispatch box, its gold-embossed letters reading simply, "The King." A poignant artifact from the Duke's former life, it rested beside the visitor's book, a tradition preserved from his days in court. Each guest, upon entering, was invited to sign, becoming, however briefly, a part of the Windsor's world. It was not just an entryway, it was a prologue, to memory, to pageantry, and to a life reimagined. The interiors of Villa Windsor bear the unmistakable signature of one of the 20th century's most celebrated decorators, Stéphane Boudin, of the Parisian design firm Maison Janssen. Called upon by the Duchess herself, Boudin was not merely a designer, but a trusted confidant, an accomplice in elegance. Together they orchestrated a vision of aristocratic grandeur, tempered by personal whimsy, and nowhere is this collaboration more apparent than in the entrance hall. Here, Boudin's influence is as subtle as it is spectacular. Trompe-l'œil frescoes play gentle tricks on the eye. Beneath one's feet, a silk-woven carpet, rich in tone and pattern, muffles the sound of footsteps, as though guarding the villa's many secrets. Carefully chosen objects dart, each with its own story, each placed with purpose, enhance the setting, creating an atmosphere that is both stately and intimate. It was not unusual for Wallis and Boudin to spend entire days scouring the antique shops and ateliers of Paris, collecting everything from 18th century porcelain to Louis XVI armchairs. The Duchess amassed a collection that, while undeniably valuable, also felt deeply personal. These were not simply things to be admired. They were part of the life she was crafting, piece by piece, Above, a handsome wrought iron balustrade curves gracefully around the galleried landing, framing the view down onto the hall below. From this elevated vantage, the villa's architecture reveals its theatrical nature, a space designed for both grand entrances and quiet glances. And then the eye is drawn to a singular regal touch, a silk brocade banner that hangs with quiet pride. It once belonged to King Edward VII, the Duke's grandfather, and was originally displayed at Windsor Castle. Here, in this French retreat, it serves as a whisper of a royal past that was never entirely left behind, a gentle reminder that while titles were surrendered, lineage remained. Guests invited for dinner would be gently ushered from the entrance hall and into the salon, where the evening's theater would begin with a carefully prepared aperitif. There, amidst the soft clink of crystal and the warmth of candlelight, the Windsors would receive their company not as monarch and consort, but as cosmopolitan hosts, masters of their own domain. Bathed in soft southern light, the salon of Villa Windsor opens gracefully through French doors onto a terrace that overlooks the carefully tended gardens. This room, the heart of the home's social rituals, was where formal refinement met intimate indulgence. On either end, it is anchored by two smaller sanctuaries: the dining room, awash in deep blue, and the library, cloaked in warmth and reflection. The Duchess of Windsor had a well-known affection for fine French furniture, favoring the delicate curvature and feminine grace of Louis XV and Louis XVI pieces. But more than that, she harbored an aversion to emptiness. No surface went untouched. Side tables bore gilded ornaments, cabinets overflowed with porcelain figurines and crystal vases, and antique commodes groaned under the weight of framed photographs and heirlooms from a world long past. Her style was never sparse. It was curated abundance. Flowers were more than just decoration. They were a language of hospitality. With an almost theatrical precision, the Duchess arranged floral displays to harmonize with each room's palette. Toward the rear of the salon, bouquets of white and blue blooms signaled the transition into the blue dining room. The subtle shift in floral tone was deliberate, an aesthetic overture between spaces. The walls themselves told stories. Inspired by the opulent interiors of Amalienburg Palace in Munich, the salon's paneling was painted a soft eau de Nil, trimmed in elaborate gilded moldings that glimmered gently in candlelight. It was a color that soothed and suggested luxury without arrogance. As guests lingered before dinner, they were offered a refined menu of delights: bacon lardons caramelized in brown sugar, grapes piped with cream cheese, and of course a selection of champagne, whiskey, or vodka, each guest's preferred drink recorded and remembered by the attentive staff for future occasions. Nothing was left to chance. In this house, memory was part of the ritual. A portrait of the Duchess herself presides over a silk-covered sofa, flanked by a dignified empire chair and stool, offering both presence and poise. Across the room, hanging near the doors to the terrace, is a more haunting sight, a portrait of Queen Mary, the Duke's mother, who never once visited the couple at Villa Windsor, a silent echo of royal estrangement that hung in more than just frames. In one of the most iconic images captured at Villa Windsor, the Duke and Duchess pose serenely in the salon, flanked by their beloved pugs. Behind them stands one of two antique lacquer commodes, glinting beneath the clutter of porcelain, silver, and framed memories. These treasured pieces, so central to their domestic world, would later be bequeathed to the Palace of Versailles, where they remain today as a part of French patrimony, a final act of grace from the Duchess to the nation she adopted. And resting quietly on one table are two matching enamel cigarette boxes, exquisitely made to resemble stamped envelopes, each one addressed to the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Witty, elegant, and deeply personal, They are perhaps the most perfect symbol of the couple's paradox. As the doors swing open and guests are summoned to the dining room, the soft glow of candlelight glints off lacquered chinoiserie panels and polished silver. Above the double doors, one might notice the charming detail of musicians' boxes, once intended to house small ensembles who could serenade diners from above, a whimsical nod to a more Baroque past. To the right, a discreet door leads to the serving pantry and kitchen beyond, where a quiet choreography of staff ensured each course appeared with military precision and grace. The dining room, though modest in size, was the scene of countless glittering dinners hosted by the Duke and Duchess, gatherings that mixed European royalty, Hollywood glamour, and exiled aristocracy in equal measure. The Duchess of Windsor was a consummate hostess, presiding over each dinner with a quiet authority and an unerring eye for detail. Floral arrangements were never allowed on the table. She felt they interrupted the line of sight and conversation. Instead, the Duchess curated the tablescape as one might a museum display. Precious objets d'art, miniature sculptures, Fabergé trinkets, and crystal curiosities took center stage, catching candlelight and sparking intrigue among her guests. The linens were by Portholt, hand-embroidered in motifs that echoed the dinnerware of the evening. The Duchess would match the monogrammed napkins and china with almost obsessive precision, sometimes ordering new sets of both for a particularly themed event. It was not uncommon for her to descend the marble staircase in her bathrobe mere hours before dinner, making last-minute adjustments to ensure everything was set to her exacting standards. Rejecting the rigidity of formal banquets, the Windsors preferred to dine at two intimate round tables, each presided over by one of them. This arrangement, they believed, allowed for easier conversation and a greater sense of conviviality. After all, at a round table, everyone has a seat of honor. As in all royal households, 2 footmen per table attended to each guest's needs, serving with elegance and restraint. The service was impeccable, but never intrusive, allowing guests to relax into the rhythm of the evening while still basking in its ceremony. The dining room itself is a jewel box of atmospheric detail. The chinoiserie panels that line the walls, depicting idyllic Chinese gardens, pavilions, and arched bridges, were taken from a chateau at Chanteloup and brought to Paris at the Duchess's insistence. The deep blue paneling, evocative of twilight, was scrubbed with wire brushes, then glazed and dry-rubbed with pigment to give it a tactile, time-worn finish, proof that every detail in the villa was deliberate, even those that appeared naturally aged. Through the doorway, one might glimpse the pale salon, its soft eau de Nil palette melting into the rich blue of the dining room, a gentle transition that speaks volumes about the Duchess's mastery of ambiance. Here, at these round tables beneath chinoiserie dreams, history dined with glamour, and the clinking of crystal once mingled with whispered stories of thrones surrendered and new lives forged in elegance. At the opposite end of the grand salon lies one of the most quietly sumptuous spaces in the Villa Windsor, the library. Unlike the gilded formality of the other rooms, the library offers a sense of intimacy, intellect, and comfort, a cocoon of refinement where the Duke and Duchess could retreat from the pageantry of their public lives. A long, low sofa, upholstered in luxurious yellow fabric, anchors the room, its golden tones echoing the autumnal warmth that fills the space. Softened with velvet and silk cushions in complementary hues, the sofa invites relaxation and conversation. The Duchess, who loathed anything cold or impersonal, ensured that every corner of the library felt warm, lived in, and welcoming. The room's color palette glows with the richness of a fading sunset, muted saffron walls, light wood paneling, and ornate rugs underfoot. The result is a deeply personal and embracing space, where every object speaks to the couple's cultivated taste and sentimental attachments. Above the marble fireplace, a striking portrait of the Duchess by Gerald Brockhurst commands the room. Painted with a softness that belies her steely charisma, the portrait exudes both glamour and distance, a reminder of her status as one of the most photographed and scrutinized women of her time. The shelves, naturally, are lined with leather-bound volumes, many stamped with the royal crest. A delicate scent of beeswax and old books lingers in the air, adding to the room's charm. Despite its grandeur, the library was not merely a showpiece. It was where afternoon letters were written, diplomatic papers reviewed, and long evenings spent with close friends unfolded over cigars and scotch. It was, in essence, a room of living history, imbued with stories, secrets, and a signature warmth that made guests feel welcome. Let us step upstairs and into the more intimate spaces of the Duke and Duchess. Directly above the salon lies their private sitting room, a sanctuary of warmth and quiet comfort. Flanked by the Duke's bedroom suite at one end and the Duchess's at the other, this room serves as a bridge between the more public areas of the villa and the couple's personal retreats. This private sitting room was the couple's haven, a place to unwind, write letters, watch television, or simply enjoy each other's company away from the public eye. It was here that the Duke and Duchess could indulge in the quiet pleasures of daily life, away from the gaze of the world. After dinner, close friends were often invited into this space for intimate conversation. The room itself is cozy and inviting, with comfortable seating arranged for conversation, in stark contrast to the grandeur of the formal salon below. Soft lighting and plush furnishings create an atmosphere of warmth, while the walls are adorned with personal touches that reflect the couple's taste and history. The rich, soft tones of the room, muted golds, delicate greens, and warm browns, wrap around visitors like a familiar embrace. At the far end of the room, you can catch a glimpse of the Duke's suite, exuding a sense of restrained masculine elegance. But the desk of the Duchess, positioned prominently in the room, is where her true personality shines. It is filled with precious objects, family photographs, and mementos of the many years she and the Duke shared. The desk, with its personal clutter, reveals the woman behind the royal persona, intellectual, sentimental, and meticulous. It's a space that speaks to her ability to balance the demands of her public role with the quiet, reflective moments she treasured in private. From the Windsor Style by Susie Menkes, she states, "The Duke and Duchess are having a nightcap upstairs together as they pick over the party. The apricot boudoir and the Duke's bedroom next door are as solidly English as the salon below is daintily French. The Duke and Duchess sit in comfortable armchairs, covered in golden yellow velvet to match the silk-fringed curtains. Between them is a squashy sofa with leopard print cushions, a whisper of the exotic beside the wholesome dark English oak bookstand and footstool. The Duchess's coiffeur, Alexander, will perch nervously on the edge of the sofa when he is invited by the widowed Duchess to stay for tea." Stepping into the Duchess's bedroom suite, one is immediately struck by its elegant femininity. The walls, draped in watered silk, shimmer with a soft, delicate sheen, creating a space that feels both luxurious and deeply personal. The room is meticulously curated to reflect her refined taste and obsession with detail, making it a haven of comfort and beauty. The dressing table, an exquisite focal point, is filled with a mix of pictures, fresh flowers, jewels, and cosmetics, each item placed with precision and care. The gilded mirrors and frames reflect the room's understated opulence, while paintings hang in perfectly measured alignment, ensuring that the space feels balanced and serene. You can almost picture the chic Duchess casually dressing each morning, her hair carefully styled into a sleek chignon by her coiffeur Alexander, who visited daily to perfect her signature look. Wallis, famously fastidious about her surroundings, had a particular aversion to wrinkled sheets. Each day, she insisted that her maids remove the bed linen for pressing, ensuring that her bed was always pristine. At the foot of the bed sits a French sofa, lovingly adorned with pug-shaped cushions, a nod to the couple's beloved pets. Each evening, her maid would prepare her nightgown, with its perfectly tucked waist and spreading skirt, waiting patiently for her return after the nightly ritual of removing her makeup and hanging her clothes with exacting care. Nearby, a French chest proudly displays photographs and keepsakes, adding another layer of personal charm to the space. The Duchess's bathroom is like stepping into another world. Designed to resemble a romantic circus tent, the ceiling is painted in trompe-l'oeil stripes and tassels, creating a whimsical and luxurious atmosphere. The walls are adorned with murals by artist Dimitri Bouchen, depicting fluttering flowers, dancers, and ribbons that seem to come alive with every glance. The bathroom exudes a playful elegance, with a sense of lightheartedness befitting the Duchess's unique flair. A charming chair sits in one corner, its design another testament to Wallis's impeccable taste. Every detail in this room reflects her desire to combine luxury and whimsy, a perfect balance of beauty and functionality. Between the bathroom and the bedroom lies the Duchess's dressing room, dedicated to the art of dressing and undressing with grace and precision. Each piece of clothing was carefully chosen, hung, and prepared for the next day, creating an air of serenity and order. This small but essential room served as a reflection of Wallis's refined nature, everything in its place, everything perfectly attended to. The Duke's bedroom exudes the character of a true English gentleman. The atmosphere is decidedly masculine, with leather-topped desks, meticulously organized displays of military memorabilia, and regal accents that evoke his royal heritage. Above the bed, a velvet drape hangs gracefully, embossed with fleur-de-lis and the royal coat of arms, a visual reminder of his lineage. The bed itself is adorned with a simple yet striking ivory coverlet, embroidered with the ER, a subtle tribute to his time as king. Despite the room's royal motifs, the dominant presence in the Duke's bedroom is that of Wallis, his one true love. Photographs of Wallis are carefully placed on every available surface, from the bedside table to the desk, ensuring that her image is never far from his sight. These images serve to the Duke's deep affection and unwavering commitment to the woman he chose over the throne. It's clear that the Duke never regretted his decision to abdicate the British throne for Wallis. The room becomes a personal shrine to both his royal heritage and his relationship with Wallis. Like his Duchess, the Duke was attended to by staff, with his butler, Sidney, going as far as squeezing the toothpaste onto the brush and laying out his pajamas neatly on the bed. The room reflects a lifestyle of luxury and attention to detail, with every element designed to ensure the Duke's comfort, just as it had been when he was king. The Duke's bathroom exudes a certain elegance, albeit with a touch of 1970s eccentricity. The decor is simple but striking, and the contrast between tradition and modernity creates an inviting yet quirky space. The bathtub is uniquely sealed with a wooden lid, often piled high with magazines, showcasing the Duke's blend of traditional tastes and personal habits. Although the tub offers a place for relaxation, the Duke preferred to shower, with the shower and lavatory hidden discreetly behind mirrored doors. This clever design ensures the space feels expansive while remaining functional and private. Stepping into the Duke's closet, one is struck by the array of finely crafted pieces that speak to his impeccable style. The dandy Duke had a reputation for his refined clothing, and his collection of shoes is a reflection of his commitment to personal style. The neatly arranged footwear, polished leather shoes, luxurious boots, and exquisite slippers illustrates his attention to detail and desire for perfection. Each pair is as much a statement of the Duke's individuality as it is a reflection of his royal past. The Duke of Windsor passed away in 1972 in his beloved home, surrounded by reminders of the life he had chosen. A decade later, in 1986, the Duchess died, having lived on in quiet solitude within the walls of Villa Windsor. With no heirs to inherit the property, their legacy at 4 Route du Champ d'Entraînement entered a new chapter. Following the Duchess's death, the French government reclaimed the lease, and soon after, Mohammed Al Fayed, the billionaire owner of Harrods and the Ritz Hotel in Paris, secured the rights to the villa. Fascinated by royalty and drawn to the legend of the Windsors, Al Fayed undertook an extensive restoration of the property, meticulously preserving its original interiors. He even commissioned the famed interior designer Philippe Delio to assist in recreating the home's mid-century glamour. The preservation was so precise that it included Wallis's dressing table, with cosmetics still arranged, and Edward's uniforms and monogrammed linens carefully displayed. The villa also became quietly linked to Al Fayed's own family legacy. His son, Dodi Al Fayed, was romantically involved with Princess Diana, and both died tragically in a car crash in Paris in 1997. By 2015, Al Fayed had relinquished the lease. Though details about the current ownership remain private, his stewardship of the Villa Windsor remains one of the most unique and personal acts of architectural preservation, rooted not just in historical reverence, but also in a profound admiration for a love story that changed royal history.